Hey there guys, Matthew here from the Who Addicts, joined by Liv and Jacob for our review of Series 11, Episode 2, The Ghost Monument. Now of course, Series 11 started off, great pace, great episode, everybody seemed to enjoy it. So, my question, I'm going to throw it straight to Jacob, is, has Series 11 kept its momentum going, and did you enjoy The Ghost Monument? Bearing in mind, we don't know, let me just say, we do not know what each other thinks. We have no idea what we think.
Ooh, what a question. Well, as a whole, yes, I did enjoy it as an episode. However, I feel like on the second watch, it becomes a bit less exciting. I think the excitement of having like the new series kick off has worn off a bit, and now it's just kind of getting into the typical Doctor Who setting. And I think in some ways, this episode was incredible. In some ways, I started to think that it was lacking a bit. There was some things that I thought were in places a bit slow. Some places were a bit fast. But as a whole, I did enjoy the episode. I think we'll keep it till later if we enjoyed it more or less than the opener. I think. But yeah, as a whole, I did enjoy the episode.
Well, I really, really enjoyed it this week. I loved it, actually. I loved it.
Loved.
Not liked, loved.
Loved this week's episode.
Loved. Liv loved it.
Yeah, I liked it as well. I completely agree with you when you say that on first watch. I don't know if it was the nostalgia of it or just the first watching of a brand new episode that obviously just gets you so much more excited. And then on second watch, it did take a real dip for me. In the middle, it just... Yeah, I'm not too sure, because there were moments which were quick and energetic and looked beautiful, and the music was going and it was really good and action-packed, and then there was other moments where it just dragged on and it seemed to just be going really, really slowly, and I think it was an issue of pacing more than anything. So I'm a bit confused, really, because on first viewing, I come out of the episode thinking that was absolutely brilliant, and then on second viewing, it just dropped off quite a lot.
Yeah, I do. Yeah,
so I'm not too sure as to why, but let's go through the episode, let's go through the characters, as we always do, and establish why. We can only start in one place, though, and that is something that I think will be universally loved, and I'll be very surprised if there's anyone who really hates it, and that's the brand new title sequence.
Oh, man. Oh, man. Oh.
Now, Jacob is a man who obviously takes pride in things looking good. If it wasn't for that, our channel would probably be on 300 subscribers. So, Jacob, I'm sure you really enjoyed the opening titles.
I did. Did you know that, John Smith, VFX, who did things like the Sherlock, the Sherlock Doctor Who crossover edit on YouTube, among other things, he's the guy who did the titles. Wow,
I did not know that. That's... yeah.
So, yeah, in the last series, he did some of the opening... not opening, sorry, the press kind of videos, but then this year he's been promoted, if you like, to being... he's made the title sequence, which I think is amazing. And I can see why they've asked him to do it, because honestly, it is such a good title sequence, and the music as well accompanies it so well. So I've seen some people, not complain, but comment how it's shorter than previous title sequences, but I think that's a good thing. It's short and snappy, but it just works so well, and especially at the very start of the episode, I do like just going straight to the theme. I think that worked really well.
Yeah, I do as well. I've really liked it. I don't think the length of it's an issue at all. I don't know why people are even considering that to be a problem. It has a mix of classic and new Who.
Oh, that classic theme to it. I just thought, and even also the colours. Them colours were unbelievable.
It was bright, yeah.
See, I find it quite odd because all the promotion for the series was really full on and like loads of colours, but I found the title sequence, as much as I like it, to be quite kind of darker.
Yeah.
And lots of like dark blues and purples rather than like the huge colour spectrum that we had in all of like the press images. But that's not a complaint, it's just an observation that I found that it didn't quite match up to what we've received before.
one thing that I did notice about this title sequence is, and I think this is something that it lacks, especially in the Capaldi title sequence, is it gets you ramped up for the episode.
Yeah.
It's got a bit like the 2005 to 2009 title sequence. It's got that beat, it's got that upbeat, high tempo, and when it's finished, especially when it sort of zooms in and then it stops with the title, it just gets you ramped up and gets you excited for the episode.
I don't.
And I think with the previous title sequence, you sort of went into it a little bit like, oh, right, okay, yeah, whatever, go through the motions. But this one, it does what it should, and that's get you excited for the episode.
And I have to add that title sequence gave me goosebumps. It was that good.
Yeah. One point I've seen on Twitter as well is a lot of people said it gives that creepy alien feel as well that the 60s title sequences give you.
Yeah.
Which
yeah, it does. I'm just glad to not see any bloody...
Yeah, I am.
Yeah. Although I would have liked to have seen Jodie's face.
I would have liked to have seen her face.
I would have as well. That's probably like the one...
Negative.
Kind of
Yeah.
nitpick
Yeah,
that I'd have.
I agree. So, onto the episode then. Now, I've got to say, 10 minutes in, my jaw was on the floor. Because I thought the start of this episode was thrilling. The two ships crashing down to the planet, the direction as well, it was all in one cut, and it was just rotating around the characters, so well directed. The acting was fantastic, the way the camera was shaking, the music in the background, the set design, everything was just brilliant. And it really carried that momentum through from the title sequence, even when I think it was... Graham and Ryan, obviously they got on the ground first, and then when they were running from the ship that was crashing behind them, it looked incredible. It was just directed so well, and when it got to the end of the scene, I actually said to you, I can't believe that was brilliant.
Yeah. I
felt like I was on a roller coaster. What did you think at the start?
Yeah, that whole scene was just full of action, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And I also liked how it started. Was like in Graham and Ryan were separated from the Doctor and Yaz.
It was an interesting start. It's a start that I didn't predict.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I didn't think that they'd be separated at all.
Yeah, I really enjoyed the start. What did we think of the two side characters then? Of course, Sean Dooley played Epso, and was it Susan Lynch who played Angstrom? What did you think of them two then for side characters?
Well, Sean Dooley's character was a bit of a knob, wasn't he?
Yes, he was really.
He did a very good job at being disliked for sure. But I found him quite nice compared to, side characters in the past. I'm sure you'll agree have been quite terrible.
Yeah, woeful.
So it was quite refreshing to have these two characters, even though one he was purposely meant to be disliked. But yeah, they were both good in their own different ways, and I kind of had sympathy for them.
I did as well. But also, what I liked about them, as from Armstrong's character, most of all, so was that compassion there from from her losing her family.
Yeah, I liked that little scene on the boat with them because it added just tiny little touches to their characters, which I don't think we have gotten otherwise. And I just think with the story that episode told about what happened with his mum, and then obviously there was that bit where Angstrom mentioned that she was doing it for a family.
Yeah.
It's just them little, and they might just seem like tiny little scenes that last 10 seconds, they don't do anything for the story, whatever, but they just add another extra layer to a character that for me makes the difference.
Yeah.
And I just thought I'd give them a motive for what they were doing.
Yeah, I think, again, similar to last week's episode, you kind of get the feel that Chibnall is very good at writing for characters.
Definitely is.
And probably more so than the plot, because all the characters in this episode I was completely convinced by.
Yeah, I agree. I think character-wise, again, he showed exactly how good he is. I mean, let's talk about some other characters. Before we jump into the Doctor, let's talk about the companions, because I'm itching to talk about them three. Again, I think there were little scenes where he touched upon what happened with Grace, and there was a lovely scene between Ryan and Graham where Graham was trying to talk to him about it. He was being the stubborn, teenage kid almost who just didn't want to know. Yeah. And I really felt that Graham was trying to make an effort with him.
Yeah.
And I thought that them two, again, had a nice little dynamic going on. What did you think?
I think it's going to be a quite a well, not a arc if you like, but a dynamic throughout the series that kind of grows between them two as like, hopefully Ryan becomes kind of more welcoming to Graham, because I feel like at the moment he's still a bit kind of hostile, which is kind of understandable. He's just lost his gran, but at the end of the day, they're in the same position. They both lost someone they both love, so I think hopefully they're gonna kind of grow together. But yeah, I quite like their little dynamic.
Yeah, I thought Graham stole the show out of the three of them.
I love Graham, and mostly of all is as well as how Chibnall's writing Graham, and so in particular was like these like the humour isn't forced humour.
No, they're all just at the right times.
Yeah, it is, and also what I like it's there's with Graham, and that's what he's doing. Yeah, but he's like so also really like quick witty lines.
Yeah, I thought Graham was definitely the most relatable out of the three.
Yeah.
And I also like the little touches as well that Chibnall put in with the dyspraxia again.
Oh, yes.
Oh, yeah, with the climbing up the ladders and
the
stuff.
Ladders
and
stuff.
that got brought up. I thought that was quite a nice little touch.
Yeah, I really thought that was a nice little touch, just to see that all this crazy alien battle that's going on, Ryan has these own little battles that he has to fight himself, which might not mean anything to a normal person, but to him they do.
About Ryan and his dyspraxia again, in my notes, I put that. So I can't think of a companion, so that we've had like Ryan in a way.
No, I don't think so either. I think there's just a level of vulnerability about him.
Yeah.
He isn't that perfect. I don't know. I wouldn't describe. They're not ladies' man, but he isn't that perfect chiseled teenage guy companion. He might look it from the outset, but inside, I think there's a little bit more of a vulnerability about him as well.
I will bring up one part that involved Ryan, which I felt and I still do feel very strange about, is when he started saying that he's played Call of Duty and then he started trying to fight the aliens, and the doctor just let him run outside with this alien gun with all these aliens, like these robots out there with guns. I found that whole scene when he starts like screaming like as if he's having a fun time, I felt that scene very forced, and I'm not sure if it was meant to be funny or what it was, but it felt like I was kind of watching like an outtake or something.
Yeah.
Do you guys think that?
No, not at all. Because that scene for me, like, it was so literally, because I was just crying with laughter at that scene. I loved that scene a lot.
It just kind of came out of the blue for me. I didn't really know what the intention for that little clip was.
Yeah, on first viewing I did laugh. On second viewing I thought it was completely silly, to be honest with you.
No, I didn't. No, I didn't at all.
It did seem like it was took from the outtakes and shoved in the episode.
Yeah.
It's just like he randomly gets a gun. The doctor lets him run outside in the middle of all these aliens. He's screaming like a nutter.
Yeah, but...
And then he runs back in and it's like, right, anyway, let's get on with what we were doing.
No, you missed the point. She did that to also prove a point to Ryan that overall, so all these guns, they also don't fight the battles.
Yeah, but at the same time, she knows that there's like countless amounts of robots out there with these high-powered weapons, and she just lets him go. I felt that was a bit unlike the Doctor to just let one of her friends, apparently best friends, just go and potentially get killed and shot by these soldiers.
Yeah, it's not the idea of the scene that I don't like. I do get the idea of it, that's what she's trying to prove. It's just the way it was sort of shot and edited.
It kind of broke up the narrative a bit.
Yeah. It
felt like we were going in one direction, and in between everything, we just had that random clip of Ryan trying to kill them.
Yeah, I think it's the way it was shot and edited was a bit misplaced for me. As for Yaz, now, I could kind of understand and look past why she was maybe in the background, fell through the cracks a little bit in episode 1. But I was really, really hoping that she was going to do something and play more of a part in episode 2. But, again, she felt inconsequential. She didn't add anything to the story, and I felt that she was just walking around asking questions, and that was it. And it's a shame because I want to like her, and I'm not saying I don't like her, but I haven't been given a reason to get behind her yet.
No, and especially between Graham and Ryan, like they seem to be getting quite a lot of like the attention, and Yaz just seems to be being put on the back burner a little bit. Not that, again, I don't dislike her. It's just I feel like she's not getting as much attention in the story as the others. But I do know from the synopsis of episode 4, I think that's going to be based in Sheffield, and we are going to see her family. So I'm hoping at that point we'll kind of get more of an idea of who she is and a bit more focused on her. But I hope it's not. We don't have to wait until episode 4 to have a bit more of an insight.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you agree with
that?
that?
Yeah, I agree
Liaz?
with that. Like so in this episode with Yaz, because I was bored of her in a way, bored of because I was sitting there and thinking, well, because there's that relationship with Graham and Ryan. But then all of a sudden, there's Yaz.
She's just on the side,
Yeah.
sort of thing. It's like
Yeah, I've also just stood there and not just saying anything really.
it's like she's almost third wheeling
Yeah,
their relationship. I mean,
awkward in a way. I feel awkward.
I think this is one of the things I was concerned about when I heard about having, so many people on the TARDIS team, is that there's going to be someone that's left out. And at the moment, I do feel like it's Yaz.
Yeah, definitely.
You've just took the words right out of my mouth. That is the only problem with having such a crowded TARDIS team, writing them all into a story and giving them equal amount of screen time and making them have all as equal amount of an impact in the story is difficult, even for Chibnall, I think. So
Yeah.
I'm hoping. I mean, what they did in Torchwood really well is they gave each member of the Torchwood team their own episode. If you watch Series 1, it started with Gwen Cooper, and then as the series went on, Yanto got introduced, and then Tosh had a story, and then Owen had a story, and then by the end of Series 1 it had established them all, and then Series 2 we loved every single one of them.
Yeah.
We knew their background, we knew what they liked, what they didn't like, and I just feel like we've had their first adventure now, so episode 3 can be about Ryan, maybe episode 4 can be about Yaz, episode 5 could be about Graham. I just think that they need to just centre the stories around them a little bit now. I think I'd say they've established the Doctor now, so I think they could do that. What about the Doctor then? What did we think of good old Geordie?
In this episode in particular, I did my notes. I put that. So I also feel like her as a Doctor, so came into her own again. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I think definitely this episode she got a bit of more of a chance to shine. But yeah, I absolutely love both, as in the Doctor's character, but also the way that Jodie portrays her. I think it just works perfectly.
Yeah, she was a bit more bouncy. She had, yeah, I don't know. She just was a lot more all-rounded. I mean, I'm not saying she wasn't in the first episode, but she had more screen time. And again,
But even just seeing her in a costume as well.
Oh yes,
I was glued to her.
Yeah,
I was, and she was obviously throwing a Sonic around, and she was being funny, then she was being sarcastic, then she was being serious. I think for a second episode, she has really found
I agree.
her Doctor quite quickly.
Yeah.
So I can't really complain with Jodie at all.
And
Me
onto
neither.
the Sonic, if we're going to go on to the Sonic, like and in particular, with this with this episode and in previous series with the Sonic, I finally feel like that Sonic is sort of not overused like it was.
Yeah, I agree. It was kind of used for reading
Yes.
things, and not just, oh, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, I'm going to solve the entire plot with it. It just felt like it was being used as it should be. And at one point, she actually tries to use it, and it wouldn't work, wouldn't it, on those cloth creatures? So, yeah, I'm quite happy with the way the Sonic's being used at the moment.
I agree. I think she's a much more practical Doctor.
Yeah.
And she's clever.
Oh yeah,
I think that's
very,
something that
very clever.
people haven't noticed yet as much. I mean, at the end when they're surrounded by the villain, which we'll get onto, and she's digging her heels into the sand. At that point in the episode, I was thinking, what's she doing? What is she doing here? I was genuinely intrigued to see what she was trying to do. And then she uses a cigar. She knows it's explosive. They all get down, wipes them out. It's genius.
It is so clever. So
It is.
clever.
It's unbelievably clever, and I think that it's just great to see a Doctor using her Sonic like she does, and she's a very clever Doctor as
She
well,
is.
which I think is very underrated. What do we think about the villain in this episode then? Because again, like the first story, the villain, I wouldn't say played a major part. wasn't like at the front, taking a bit more of a backseat. What did you guys think of the villain?
Yeah, I agree. They didn't pose as much as a threat as I kind of expected them to. Because I know in one of like the main Series 11 trailers, we had that shot of them all with those cloth creatures going towards them. But it didn't feel like for the majority of the story, they weren't really under threat, and it was mainly about this rush to get to the Ghost Monument. So yeah, I didn't feel like there's much of a threat. Obviously, we found out that they were kind of part of this Stenza thing that we had in series in episode 1. But yeah, not much of a threat.
Yeah, I thought the the black guards with the guns.
Yeah.
I thought they were a bit underused.
Yeah.
I thought they could have played a bit more of a part in the story. I liked the whatever you want to call them, cloth
the paper things.
Yeah. They were very different then.
I like them mostly about throughout the whole episode. What's the word I'm looking for?
They were focusing on them, weren't they?
Yeah, slowly moving them about to different places, and then that scene. So when Epso was asleep, because there was that paper thing just slowly coming up and wrapped itself around his mouth. I was scared.
Yeah, I really like that.
I was genuinely scared and thinking, "Oh my god."
The only thing about that scene that had me a bit confused is that they chose the most disliked character to show being a threat. So, if anything, he was the one character that I probably wouldn't have cared if he died, because he was the most unlikable one.
Yeah, I agree with that, yeah.
Yeah, I do agree with that, to be honest.
It definitely was still a very creepy
I would have liked it if they'd have put one of the companions
in that situation, yes.
Yeah. Maybe Yaz. Maybe put Yaz in that situation. Just to, make sure she's doing something. What did you think about the Stenzar link then? Because I'm a bit stuck on it, because I kind of like that they might have an idea there, but right now at this point, I just don't really buy into it. I'm not seeing them as a big enough film. I'm intrigued to see what the whole mystery is, but I don't see them as that threat yet.
Yeah, I'm kind of seeing that. Well, I know Chibnall said there wasn't going to be an arc, but there's clearly something going on with this Stenza thing. But yeah, I'm not entirely convinced by it yet. I'm not really sure. Well, I haven't really seen completely what they're capable of, who they are really. But I think we're going to get to see a bit more of that as time goes on. I don't know what episodes are if it's going to be every episode, we're going to see something else about them. But I'm intrigued for sure. But at the moment, I'm not completely convinced.
Yeah.
Same.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I mean, what about there was a line in there which was very interesting, and I think it was when the Doctor was face to face with them cloth creatures, and they mentioned something about a timeless child.
Yeah.
And the Doctor stops and is like, "Get out of my head." What do you think that is? Do you think that's a throwaway line, or do you think that there's something there? I mean, a lot of people on Twitter have jumped to Susan. Or maybe the Doctor has a mystery child we don't know about. Maybe this is a Jeremy Kyle show thing. The DNA tests show that, you are the mum/dad now, or whatever.
God.
So,
God.
What do you think the whole timeless child thing is, apart from Jeremy Kyle?
Well, I think it's definitely nothing to do with Jeremy Kyle. But yeah, I think it's definitely not a throwaway line either. There's got to be something more to that. Like the way that it was shot and the way she was like, "Get out of my head." There's got to be something there, and I'm not entirely sure what it could be. But again, I'm hoping that it's addressed and it's not just left, because I know Twitter and review sites and everything are going quite crazy about it, trying to think what this thing could be.
It's Susan! I bet it's Susan!
It could be. I think it would be a bit kind of underwhelming if it was, because anything remotely mysterious in Doctor Who, everyone just seems to go, "Oh, it's Susan," or it's the Master. It's one of the two, or the Rani. That's like another classic thing to go to.
Every link is just Captain Jack. Every possible link, it just means that Captain Jack's coming back. It just does. So let's talk about the end. It was, of course, speculated that we would indeed finally see the TARDIS, and the Ghost Monument would be the TARDIS.
You actually betted that, didn't you, on Twitter yesterday?
Yes, I did. I didn't want to blow my own trumpet, Jacob, but you brought it up, so yes, I did. I tweeted saying it might be. But I've got to say, I can't remember a Dr. TARDIS scene that has made me close to tears as this one. It was absolutely beautiful.
I agree.
I've never seen a Doctor and a TARDIS connect like that before.
No, I haven't.
And I've got to give it to Chibbers. His choice for holding it back an episode and leaving it until the end of episode 2, great choice. Great choice.
It really worked.
I thought it was
Like,
gorgeous.
I felt, so all of a sudden was in, and also just from seeing that TARDIS again, I was like, no, this is Doctor Who. This is Doctor Who. Just seeing that gorgeous
That was the
thing
icing on the
back.
cake, wasn't it, really? Because we had the Doctor.
It was.
She got her costume, she's got her companion, she's got her Sonic. Just need the TARDIS. And then there it was at the end of the episode when you could just hear that faint noise. It was just it was just amazing.
Yeah, I thought of a quote when that appeared, and it was, do you remember in the 50th when Rose, or Bad Wolf, says to the War Doctor that wheezing brings hope wherever it goes?
Yeah.
I just thought that, she was devastated, she was gutted, she felt bad that she'd got them stuck on this planet and they were going to be lost there, they weren't going to survive. And then you just start to hear that wheezing of the TARDIS, and then it appears. And I've got to say, Jodie's acting in that final scene. I mean, she's looking at a prop. She's looking at a police box. It's not another character, but she's showing such emotion. She's like overwhelmed with happiness, and she almost looks like she's gonna cry because she's finally reunited with her ship. It was beautiful, and Jodie's acting in it was phenomenal.
Yeah. As well as the way that it was directed and shot and the music, everything combined just made that whole scene incredible.
Yeah, when she says, "Come to Daddy, Mummy," still getting used to it, and then
the way she says, I don't have my key, sorry," and then it just kind of slightly opens.
It was just beautiful. How they just make the TARDIS seem like a proper living thing, don't they?
They do.
So onto the interior.
Please don't say you don't like it.
I'm not sure.
Oh, Matthew!
I can get that because it's
I'm
so
not
different.
That sure yet on it.
Oh, I love it.
One thing I will comment on first is the timer, the sand timer thing. I felt that was a bit weird. The custard cream dispenser, however, I'm a big fan of that.
I could do one of them.
Yeah, it's a very different interior, isn't it?
Yeah, I don't know. I really am not sure on it. I don't know if it was a bit. I'm not sure. I'm not too sure. When I first saw it, in that scene, do not get me wrong, I was overwhelmed with emotion. So I was bouncing, I was smiling from ear to ear. I was so happy, and it didn't matter what the TARDIS looked like at that point. I was just happy to see it. And then I watched it again, and I looked at it, and I just thought, there's something missing, and I don't know what it is, but it might grow on me. I know you're a big fan, aren't you?
I am. I really am. The light just,
It's a bit like the Sonic, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very like the Sonic.
We'll see. We'll see where it goes. I'm sure it'll grow on me, but it's not my favourite TARDIS. I could say that for sure.
I don't think it will be mine either, but I think I just need to see it in action with the companions in it, with them, running about it like mad. I want to see it in action, and then maybe I can get a proper opinion on it. But there's parts of it I love, and the parts of it that I'm not so sure about at the moment.
Let's conclude then. Well, I am very intrigued to see what Jacob's rating is, so I think Jacob should go first.
Okay. The Ghost Monument. It was a good episode, a good second episode to Series 11 to kind of progress on all the characters. I felt like, the Doctor and the supporting companions were all really good in this episode. As we said, I think I would like to see a bit more action from Yaz. I feel like it's very focused heavily on Ryan and Graham and kind of their loss of grace at the moment, which is understandable considering for them it literally happened like hours earlier. But yeah, I think those characters were good as a whole. The supporting characters in the episode that are in the race, I thought were very believable and convincing. I liked how the whole race kind of thing worked. I think it worked really well as a plot. However, I did feel like in some places it did get a bit slow, like when they were inside the kind of underground layer. I thought there's some scenes there that went a bit slow, and then also some scenes went really fast. So kind of a mixed pace of an episode. If that was intentional or not, I'm not sure. But as a whole, I did like the plot. The villain, again, a bit confusing. I'm not really sure what their motives are and how dangerous they are, because they didn't seem to be that prominent throughout the whole episode. They just kind of kept on coming and going. But I am definitely intrigued to see them in the rest of the series, since they seem to be a bit of an arc, if you like. One of the best scenes, without a doubt, though, was obviously at the end when we finally got to see the TARDIS and the brand new interior, which, as we just mentioned, I'm not entirely convinced by at the moment. There's lots of things that I'd like, and there's things that I'm unsure about, but I'm happy to see the TARDIS. I feel like that's completely kind of topped the cake, got the icing on the cake of the Doctor. And yeah, so as a whole, I'm going to rate this episode a 7 out of 10.
Interesting. Now, Liv, you always go one lower, but I've got a feeling this isn't going to be a 6 out of 10. It might even be one higher. So I can tell you that in Liv's conclusion, she really did enjoy the episode. She enjoyed the race to get off the planet, to reach the Ghost Monument, to of course find the Doctor's TARDIS. She enjoyed the characters, other than Yaz, who she didn't think really did much again, and did want a little bit more action from the villains. But the final scene, of course, where we saw the TARDIS really made the episode, and it felt like it was truly Doctor Who again when the TARDIS come back. And Liv has gave it an 8.5.
8.5
out of 10. So she's done you there, Jacob. Not only one more, 1.5 more.
Damn, a whole 1.5.
I know, she's outdone you this week. So
I'm intrigued to hear yours now, Matthew.
Do you think I've matched with you? Do you think I've gone lower than you, or do you think I've gone higher?
Oh, I don't know. I think you're probably more on my level than Liv's, probably. But we'll see. Or you could be in between.
I could be. Could be a 7.5 incoming, we'll see.
Or even below.
Maybe. So, in my conclusion, I've said that The Ghost Monument, like The Woman Who Fell to Earth, was a stunning, atmospheric and beautiful piece of television. The direction and the music throughout made the show look incredible, with the scenes in the ship and at the end being the standouts. But like The Woman Who Fell to Earth, it also carried on the hollow and basic plot, which again was very accessible and easygoing to new viewers, but a little bit slow and shallow at times for us hardcore viewers. Jodie once again nailed it as the Doctor. I thought that Graham was by far the best companion. Ryan didn't quite live up to the heights of the opener, and Yaz continued to be inconsequential to the episode, having next to no impact on the plot. I still feel like she needs to have her moment. The villains again were creative without blowing me away, but thankfully the scene at the end with the TARDIS had me grinning from ear to ear and had me leaving the episode with an incredibly happy feeling. The connection between the Doctor and her TARDIS was portrayed as good as, if not better, than any other Doctor before her. But the TARDIS interior for me let me down a little bit. I felt as if the emotion on first viewing got me over and won me over a little bit. But in hindsight, it's definitely not my favourite. So overall, The Ghost Monument was solid enough with some great moments, but once again, the middle of the story slowed down a little bit too much for me, and the episode had some great emotional and character-driven scenes, but I'd still like to see a bit more action and content. Just like last week, Chibnall's character work is brilliant, but his sci-fi, not so much. It is only the second episode of the whole new Doctor Who, though, so let's not get the pitchforks and torches out. Let's stop bashing the show to hell and writing it off already. I'm sure there's plenty more to come. I have also given it a 7 out of 10.
Nice. You're with me. That's
we
good.
have snapped.
Cool.
So, yeah.
There we are.
I think that's everything we've got to say on the Ghost Monument. I didn't mention it at the start, but if you don't know, you can listen to this very review on podcast. So it might be a bit pointless now that you're 30 odd minutes
If you want to listen to it again.
Yeah, if you want to listen to it again, or listen to it again on the go if you're that committed, then it is on a podcast if you want to do that. But other than that, do like this video if you have enjoyed it, and do subscribe to us here on YouTube for Series 11 reviews, previews, and of course I do a weekly 5 talking points video as well. Don't forget to comment in the section below what you thought on the episode as well. You can follow us across all social media, you can go to our website, you can also support us on Patreon. And yeah, I'll be back for my 5 talking points from the Ghost Monument, which will be going up in the middle of next week. And hopefully, Jacob, you'll be back to join us for our preview of Rosa, which will be the next episode, which is, of course, a historical on Rosa Parks. So it's going to be very exciting. But until then, have a good week, guys, and we'll see you next time.